Just imagine buying your dream house at the worst time possible. But you don't have to worry about that. You're smart, you're savvy, and today I'm going to give you just 2 tips to help set you up for success on your next move. One thing to make sure you do, and one thing to absolutely avoid. Tip number 1, unless the market is crashing, who cares what the market's doing? You're probably watching this because you're trying to time the market just right so that you set yourself up for a future that you're not going to be upside down. Makes perfect sense. However, the majority of the time, we have no idea what the market's going to do really, and so it will go up at different points, it'll come down at different points. But the reason I say don't time the market is because over the long haul, at least 5 years, preferably 10 years, I believe it's an average of about 10 years between moves that people make. So if you're going to be in that home for 10 years, regardless of the ups and downs in between, typically we're still going to see that number going up, so you'll still be upside right on that home after a long period of time. If you are thinking a short period of time, I might tell you just to hold off altogether because we never know what's going to happen in the market within a given few year period of time, say 2 to 3 years. It's too risky, so in that case, potentially just hold off. But if you're going to be buying a home and living in it for a longer period of time, it's probably okay. Now, I did say that's unless we're in a crash, so why don't we talk very briefly about the crash we just went through so you can understand what different markets will look like with that. Back in 2006, prices were overinflated, but it was generally just because of bad lending practices. The government had to step in, regulate things. It was quite literally a bubble that popped in prices. So we dropped very quickly and for a longer period of time. We bottomed out around 2011. So what that will look like is generally if you bought high and then you had to sell when things were low, perhaps you lost your job, you wanted to move towns, then that person wouldn't have been able to have sold because the value of their home is less than the amount they owe on it. Okay, that's called being upside down. Generally though, that's a really extreme example. That's kind of a once in a lifetime event. That's not the sort of thing that happens very often. So we don't need to plan on the worst case scenario happening necessarily to hold you back from home ownership. So then why don't we talk about what the market is doing currently? Since then, we've found ourselves into a very, very strong seller's market and prices are again high. However, we're expecting that they're gonna start cooling off. Now, that doesn't mean, and again, I'm in 2021 forecasting forward, we're not anticipating that prices are going to fall dramatically. We're still expecting that they're going to go up. It'll just be a lot less than we've seen in past years. Could they go down? Absolutely. And again, that's why you're going to just want to have a strong down payment and be making sure you're staying conservative with how much you're spending on that home. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad time to buy simply because we're expecting shifts in the market, because they'll happen at any given time and they happen over a few years period of time. We're not expecting that prices will drop suddenly, but we do want to see a shift in the market, which would be very healthy for our market right now. Tip number 2 is going to be getting a handle on your own personal finances to make sure that you're in a really solid position. You want to set yourself up financially so that regardless of what the market might do, you've got the best chances of being in a comfortable position for years to come. Typically what that's going to mean is paying off your debt, saving up cash, getting a really strong emergency fund in place, getting a budget in place so that you understand what your bills are on a monthly basis. That will then allow you to determine what you're comfortable with for a payment on your home moving forward. That'll put a max budget on how much you can spend for that home. So when you analyze all of these things, that will help set you up for a stronger future once you purchase the home. The number one thing to think about too is how much are you putting down? Now, you've heard me say I don't really recommend zero down loan options, and this is exactly why. If that market does start to shift, prices should flatten out or come down. You're not going to be given any equity buffer with the natural inflation of home values. And if there's no buffer that you're starting with your down payment, then should you decide you wanted to move, your job changed, you got laid off or something, and you needed to sell in a short period of time, if the market dips at all, you could be upside down on that home and not be able to sell. So if you build a stronger down payment to begin with, 5, 10, 20% or more, then that will enable you to have that really nice buffer, and it'll weather the storm of what the market values might be doing at any given time. Let's recap. So point number 1, don't move because of what the market is or is not doing. And point number 2 is control yourself and set yourself up financially to succeed regardless of what the market is doing, and make that move when it makes sense for you. That's it for today. Just a reminder, make sure you've subscribed to me on YouTube and like our business page on Facebook. My name is Joe Carmack. Thanks so much for watching.